What if I told you that the very first sign your body is aging has nothing to do with wrinkles, gray hair, or slowing reflexes, but something quietly happening in your legs right now, at this very moment? Most people never connect the two, but weakening leg muscles are often one of the earliest warning signals the body sends before strength, balance, and circulation begin to slip away. And for adults over 60, that silent shift can gradually increase the risk of falls, loss of mobility, and eventually the loss of independence itself. After decades of working with older adults, I have watched the same pattern repeat itself more times than I can count. The decline never begins with a dramatic event. It starts quietly. Difficulty rising from a chair without pushing off the armrests, legs that feel heavy and tired after just a short walk, a hand that reaches automatically for the railing going down the stairs when it never used to. These are not random inconveniences. They are the body's early language, and most people don't know how to read it until the problem has already grown. But here is the part that changes everything. In many cases, this decline can be slowed, stopped, or even reversed with the right daily movements. Today, I am going to walk you through 5 simple exercises that strengthen your legs, improve circulation, and help protect your independence for years to come. The first exercise is the sit to stand, and it rebuilds the strength your legs are quietly losing right now. Most people over 60 don't notice their legs weakening until one specific moment changes their perspective forever. It might be the first time they struggle to rise from their favorite chair, or the moment they reach for the armrest and realize their legs didn't carry the load on their own. These moments feel minor in the second they happen, but in medicine, they are early signals that the large muscles in the thighs and hips have begun to weaken. This process is called age-related muscle loss, and it is far more common than most people realize. One of the most effective and simplest ways to push back against it is something every person already does multiple times each day: standing up from a chair. The sit-to-stand exercise looks ordinary on the surface, but it directly targets the quadriceps, glutes, and core muscles that support nearly every movement you depend on. Walking through the grocery store, climbing the stairs in your home, getting out of a car in a parking lot. When these muscles strengthen, balance improves, circulation increases, and the pressure on your knees and lower back begins to decrease. To perform this exercise, choose a sturdy chair, a firm dining chair rather than a soft couch. Sit near the front edge with your feet flat on the floor, about shoulder width apart. Your knees should be bent at roughly a right angle, and your back should stay upright. Before you stand, lean your body very slightly forward at the hips. This small shift activates the muscles in your thighs and glutes. Then press firmly through your feet and rise slowly, using your legs to do the work rather than pulling yourself up with your arms. Once you are fully upright, pause for a moment and feel your weight balanced evenly through both feet. Then lower yourself back down slowly and with control until you are seated again. Do not drop into the chair. The lowering phase matters just as much as the rising because it trains the muscles that stabilize the knees. Begin with 8 repetitions and 2 sets, resting briefly in between. If it feels difficult at first, it is completely fine to rest your hands lightly on the armrests or your thighs for support. Over time, as your muscles rebuild, try completing the movement without using your hands at all. Many older adults who practice this consistently for just a few weeks report the same thing. Standing up from chairs feels smoother, walking feels more confident, and the legs simply feel more stable throughout the day. But strength in the upper legs is only part of the story, because the muscles lower down in your legs are responsible for something even more critical, keeping blood circulating back toward your heart. And what happens when those muscles weaken may surprise you. The second exercise is the calf pump, and it activates what doctors call the second heart in your legs. There is a group of muscles in your lower legs that most people almost never think about, until the problems begin to appear. Maybe the ankles swell by the end of the day. Maybe the legs feel heavy and tired after sitting for long periods. Some people notice that their feet feel colder than they used to, or that a dull aching settles into the lower legs by evening. These changes are extremely common after 60, and one major reason behind them is that the calf muscles are no longer being used enough to help move blood effectively through the lower body. Doctors sometimes refer to the calf muscles as the body's second heart. The reason is straightforward. Unlike arteries, which receive the direct force of the heart's pumping action, the veins in the legs depend heavily on the contraction of the calf muscles to push blood back upward toward the chest. Every time you walk, climb stairs, or rise onto your toes, those calf muscles squeeze the veins in the lower legs and keep circulation moving in the right direction. When those muscles weaken or stay still for too long, during hours of sitting for example, circulation slows, and that is precisely when swelling, fatigue, and discomfort begin to build. A simple movement called the calf pump can reactivate this natural circulation system, and it is one of the safest exercises any older adult can do at home. Stand behind a sturdy chair or kitchen counter where you can place your hands lightly for balance. Feet should be about hip width apart with toes pointing forward. From there, slowly lift your heels off the floor so that your weight shifts onto the balls of your feet. Rise gently until you feel the calf muscles tighten and engage. Hold that position for about 2 seconds, then slowly lower your heels back down to the floor. The key to making this exercise truly effective is control. Avoid bouncing or dropping the heels quickly. Each lift and lower should take around 3 to 4 seconds. This slow, deliberate pace keeps the muscle fibers fully engaged throughout the movement and stimulates circulation far more effectively than a rushed version would. Begin with 10 repetitions in 2 sets. After several days, gradually increase to 15 repetitions as comfort improves. Many people find it easiest to practice this in the morning while waiting for coffee to brew, or in the evening while standing at the kitchen counter. Over time, this small habit makes a real and noticeable difference. The legs feel lighter, circulation improves, and walking becomes more comfortable. But circulation is not only improved through standing. One of the most powerful ways to stimulate blood flow through the legs can actually be done while sitting in a chair, and the next exercise might be the easiest one you will add to your day. The third exercise is the seated march, and it is a simple movement that wakes up circulation and hip strength together. Sometimes the greatest damage to leg strength does not come from aging itself. It comes from sitting too long without realizing it. Many older adults spend more time seated than they used to, watching the evening news, reading, driving to appointments, resting after dinner. But here is something most people are never told. When the legs stay completely still for extended periods, blood flow slows, the hip muscles become less active, and the nerves that help control balance gradually lose their responsiveness. Over time, this creates stiff hips, heavy legs, and a feeling that the lower body simply no longer responds the way it once did. One of the simplest ways to counteract this daily damage is an exercise called the seated march. It sounds almost too easy to matter, but do not underestimate what this movement accomplishes. When performed correctly, it engages the hip flexors, the thigh muscles, and the lower abdominal muscles, areas that play a critical role in walking and balance. Sit upright in a firm chair. Avoid slouching back into the seat. Position yourself toward the front edge, feet flat on the floor, knees bent at about 90 degrees, back straight and relaxed, hands resting lightly on your thighs or the sides of the chair. Slowly lift one knee upward toward the chest. The movement does not need to be large. Even raising the foot just a few inches off the floor is enough to activate the muscles. Hold the knee lifted for 1 second, then gently lower it back down. Immediately lift the opposite knee. Continue alternating legs in a steady, controlled rhythm, similar to marching in place, but done from the chair. The focus is not speed, it is consistency and control. Try to lift and lower each leg slowly enough that the muscles stay engaged throughout the full movement. Begin with 30 seconds of seated marching, rest briefly, and then repeat 2 more times. Over weeks, you may gradually work up to 1 or 2 minutes of continuous movement. This exercise is especially valuable for people who sit frequently throughout the day because it keeps blood moving through the legs and reminds the nervous system that the lower body is still meant to be active. Many older adults practice this during television commercials or while waiting for the kettle to boil. The results often surprise people. Such a small movement, practiced consistently, can gradually make the legs feel far more awake and responsive throughout the entire day. The fourth exercise is the heel-to-toe balance walk. and it trains the stability that quietly prevents falls before they happen. A surprising number of falls happen not because the legs are weak, but because the body has lost the ability to stabilize itself during small, unexpected shifts, stepping off a curb, walking across a slightly uneven surface, turning quickly in the kitchen. These moments require tiny stabilizing muscles in the feet, ankles, and hips to react instantly and precisely. As the body ages, those muscles and the nerves that coordinate them can become slower and less responsive. That is why balance gradually becomes less reliable for many adults after 60, even in people who walk regularly and feel reasonably strong. One of the most effective ways to retrain this balance system is a movement called the heel-to-toe balance walk. Physical therapists use this exercise because it simultaneously strengthens the lower legs and teaches the body to maintain control as weight shifts from one foot to the other with each step. Find a hallway or clear path in your home. Stand near a wall or piece of sturdy furniture in case you need support. Start upright, feet together, shoulders relaxed. Place one foot directly in front of the other so that the heel of the front foot touches the toes of the back foot. Slowly shift your weight forward and bring the back foot ahead, again placing heel directly in front of toes. Move slowly and deliberately. Control is everything. Speed is not the goal. Keep your eyes looking forward rather than down at your feet because the body depends on visual cues to maintain balance, and training with the eyes forward builds stronger stability reflexes. Take 10 slow, deliberate steps, turn around, and walk back. Aim to practice 2 to 3 times each day. Over time, many people notice that walking in everyday situations begins to feel more secure. Sidewalk cracks, uneven driveways, and curbs become less intimidating because the stabilizing muscles are better prepared to respond. Ankle strength also improves significantly with this exercise, which is essential for preventing the small missteps that so often lead to serious falls. When the ankles, calves, and hips begin working together efficiently, the body becomes far more resilient during any unexpected shift in balance. But balance and coordination are only part of the equation. The large muscles in the thighs also need endurance to support the body during longer periods of standing and walking, and the final exercise rebuilds that endurance in a way that also protects the knees. The 5th exercise is the gentle wall squat, and it rebuilds the leg strength that protects your knees and hips every single day. There comes a point for many people in their 60s or 70s when standing for longer periods begins to feel tiring in a way it never used to. Waiting in a grocery line, cooking a meal, walking through a parking lot, these ordinary activities can suddenly leave the legs feeling shaky, heavy, or fatigued. What most older adults do not realize is that this feeling is rarely just about age. It is almost always a signal that the large muscles in the thighs and hips have weakened beyond a certain threshold. These muscles, particularly the quadriceps and glutes, are among the largest and most important muscles in the entire body. They act as powerful stabilizers for the knees and hips. When they weaken, the joints begin absorbing stress they were never designed to handle alone. That is when knee discomfort begins to appear, when standing up creates stiffness, and when the legs start to tire far too quickly during everyday activities. One of the safest and most effective ways to rebuild this strength for older adults is a movement called the wall squat. Unlike traditional squats that can stress the knees if performed incorrectly, the wall squat provides back support and allows the leg muscles to work in a fully controlled and gentle way. Find a clear section of wall. Stand with your back flat against it and your feet positioned about 12 to 18 inches away. Feet should be roughly shoulder width apart and pointed straight ahead. This alignment keeps the knees properly lined up with the toes and prevents unnecessary joint strain. From there, slowly slide your back down the wall. As you descend, the knees will bend and the hips will move slightly forward. You do not need to go deep. Even a shallow quarter squat is enough to fully activate the thigh muscles. Once you reach a comfortable position where the thighs feel engaged but not strained, hold for 5 to 10 seconds. Breathe naturally. Keep weight evenly distributed through both feet. You should feel the muscles in the thighs working, but there should be no sharp pain anywhere in the knees. Then press gently through the heels and slide back up to standing. Begin with 5 repetitions. As the muscles gradually adapt and strengthen, increase to 8 or even 10 over time. Practicing this 3 to 4 days per week can slowly rebuild the endurance in the thighs and hips that supports nearly every movement made throughout each day. Many people are genuinely surprised to find that strengthening these large muscles not only makes walking easier, it often reduces knee discomfort and improves overall posture and stability. When the thighs and hips are strong, the joints are better protected, movement feels smoother, and everyday life simply becomes more manageable. And yet, here is something important to carry with you beyond these 5 exercises. Movement alone is powerful, but the real transformation happens when movement, circulation, nutrition, and daily habits all begin working together to support the body as it ages. Because the way you care for your legs today, the consistency of these small habits, the attention you give to how your body feels and moves, will quietly shape how strong, mobile, and independent you remain over the next 5 or even 10 years. Aging moves slowly and quietly, one small shift at a time. A little less strength when rising from a chair. A moment of unsteadiness when walking across the room at night. These are not things to fear. They are things to respond to. Your legs carry more responsibility than most people realize. They support your balance, help pump blood back toward your heart, stabilize your joints, and carry you through every routine and every moment of your daily life. When they remain strong, everything else becomes more possible. The encouraging truth is that the body remains remarkably adaptable even later in life. These 5 exercises, rising from a chair, activating the calf muscles, marching while seated, practicing the heel-to-toe balance walk, and building thigh strength against the wall, are not just movements. They are signals sent directly to the muscles, telling them they are still needed, still capable, and still worth investing in. Begin with consistency. Start small if needed. Practice daily or as often as possible. Within weeks, the changes begin. Within months, many people notice real differences in stability, energy, and ease of movement. And looking 1, 2, or 5 years ahead, the strength built today may quietly become one of the most important investments ever made, not just in physical health, but in the freedom to live life fully, confidently, and on your own terms.